Alright, hello and welcome back. It's been a little bit since I made a post here, but we've had a lot of movings in the transfer market and it kind of spurred me on to make a different type of video here today. This one's not going to be as long as my other ones, but it will be more of a rant just based on a certain topic. The topic today is, why are there seemingly not as many Italians in the Milan team these days when that was such a core of our team in years past? What is happening to the Italian talents at Milan? A very unique thing is that Inter Milan nowadays starts just as much, if not more, Italians than Milan, if any of Milan's main Italian players are out. For example, Donnarumma, Romagnoli, Calabria. Those are our main starting Italian players, and that's it. Yes, we have Tonali, but it's not like he would play over Benacer or Kessié if those two are fully fit and healthy. I think he will eventually. I think he's got all the skills to become a top-class talent, but right now he's not the out-and-out starter. So we have 3 starting Italian players. That's it. We've got some promising kids. We've got Gabbia, we've got Colombo, we've got Maldini. So of course there's promising kids for sure. But that's only a couple. And so you're wondering, where the heck are the Italian players like we had in the days of old? My favorite years of AC Milan, because it was kind of right around when I started watching, was the 06-07, when AC Milan was built how I would love to build Milan again. Primarily a core of good Italian talents, some homegrown, some purchased, right? But then when you bring in the non-Italian talents, you're making sure that you bring in world-class, top-tier talents. That is what I loved about Milan. So when you watch them, it was actually an Italian team, but it was the best of both worlds. You had these top-class talents from anywhere, but then you also had your hub, your core of Italian talents. For example, when we won the Champions League in 06-07, we had Nelson Dida at goalie, who traded time with Abbiati, but it was mainly Dida. Then you had Massimo Odo, you had Alessandro Nesto, you had Paolo Maldini, and Marek Jankulovski. Then in the midfield, you had Gattuso, Pirlo, and Rossini, all 3 Italian midfielders. Then you had Kaká, Seedorf, and Pippo Inzaghi. If you count that up, that's 3 for defense, that's 3 for midfield, and 1 up top. That's 7 out of the 11 players as Italian players. And then look at the non-Italian players. You have Nelson Dida, who, yes, during the later years of his career was very hit or miss, but he was a top-class goalkeeper. Then you had Marek Jankulovski, who was more of a kind of bit part player. He wasn't maybe a legendary defender, but he was pretty awesome in his own right when he was on. So I wouldn't consider him top class, but he was very good. And then you had Kaká, who is my favorite player of all time, and I think that he's probably the best attacking midfielder out there. Yes, he didn't have his prime for too many years, but man, when he was in his prime, he was the best. So smart, so quick, good with both feet. That is the guy. And honestly, Kaká has always been my favorite player, so I can't say enough about him. But that's the type of player that we brought in. And then you have Clarence Seedorf next to him, who is such a top-tier, classy player, wins everywhere he goes. I mean, look at who you brought in to kind of fill out your team there. That's amazing. And then in years past, we had Shevchenko, also top class. We had Ruud Gullit. We had Marco van Basten. I mean, look at the non-Italian talents that we were bringing in. These are top-class guys. But we now have lost our Italian core. And it's kind of sad to me, because the reason why AC Milan and Inter Milan split was because Inter Milan wanted to mainly have foreigners on their team. Milan said, no, we want an Italian core. That's what our team is based on. That's why Inter is called Inter. They're called the Internazionale di Milan, the Internationals of Milan, meaning, hey, we're going to buy more foreign players. And that's fine. But that's part of the rivalry, and that's a huge part of why we split. So now, if you don't enjoy that part of Milan, that, they're supposed to be a primarily Italian team, or at least more Italian than Inter, then what the heck's the rivalry about? Because they were blue and we were red? It doesn't matter at all. I mean, another part of it was kind of the class warfare too, because of it, because Milan was always more of the working class people, Inter was more the bourgeoisie, so that also played a huge role. But those were the 2 main discerning things, and when that's gone, why the heck is a derby intense, right? I mean, you're just, oh yeah, I hate them because they were blue and we were red. It doesn't really make much sense. There's more to it, there's more core to that, and so I really would have loved to bring that back. That's why I was so excited to bring in Tonali. I was very excited for Caldara, and I thought he really could have been the perfect pairing for Romagnoli if he didn't get injured. But now I'm seeing a way different transfer strategy from us. For example, I actually like all the signings that we brought in, besides Mete. I like Mandzukic, I like Tomori. These are two guys who we brought in for super cheap, nothing really based off loans. Tomori has a ton of potential, and Mandzukic is the battler that we need to back up Ibra. So I love what we brought in. Mete, I think, was a bad signing. I don't think it was really worth it. There's a lot more people we could have gone for. But if you look at our recent links, Mattia Lovato, Mattia Zaccagni, and Gianluca Scamacca, we're going to lose all three of those, I guarantee it. Juve are already in talks with Scamacca because they always like to beat us to the Italian talents because that's how Juve are. They have more money splashed around, and they're good at it. And they took Chiesa from us, who would have been a perfect fit. Now it looks like they're going to be taking Scamacca, who is literally the perfect pick, in my opinion, to be the vice Ibra. He's tall, he's strong, he's talented, and he can learn under Ibra's wing. He would fit way better here than at Juve, and we would need him because we don't have that top-class striker behind Ibra. So it really is rough because we're not willing to shell out the $20 million, or we're not willing to work out a loan with an option to buy or an obligation to buy. So it's really rough because I feel that if we don't make these moves, we're probably going to end up with some cheap signing who's pretty decent and who will do just to make our finances work, but we're really not staying true to the core of our team. Also, Mattia Zaccagni has had an amazing year, and he will be a wonderful player for us. He could play almost anywhere along that kind of attacking trio, left wing, attacking mid, or sometimes right wing. Yes, he's better on the left, but that's a perfect player for a cheap price. I think he's going for 10 or so million. That's perfect to bring in. He's in his prime. That's the type of player who wants to make the next step up. But of course, it looks like we're not going to get him. Napoli has already beaten us to the punch, and that's what it is. Also, we were supposed to get Petagna before this season started. I thought he would have been a great choice for us. Napoli once again beat us to the punch. It seems like we never really pull the trigger when there's an Italian player. The only time we did it was with Tonali, and it's just because he's such a big Milan fan that he chose Milan over Inter. Otherwise, if he wasn't a diehard Milan fan, he would be at Inter right now, and we would have bought 0 Italian players this summer. It's really terrible. I don't like the way that Milan is going. Last game I saw us run 1 Italian player on the pitch. That's embarrassing. We literally just had Alessio Romagnoli, and that is it. None others. That's pretty bad. It's not the team that I grew up watching, and while I don't care if we have 4 or 5, but I would like to at least see us starting 4 or 5 Italian players. We don't need to have 6 or 7 like those old days, but come on, at least have a reasonable amount and have some backups in there. And when you see a good opportunity, you do have to stay true to it. I mean, Milan and Juve have had a history of supplying the national team, and no longer is that the case. Plus, we've been so bad to our Italian youths, it's ridiculous. Think about Davide Calabria. We were going to sell him this year. I was a huge advocate of keeping him because I saw his fight, his heart. This kid is a Milanista. He needs to stay. Lo and behold, he stays. He's given a real chance, and look at how well he's done. He's been the secret hero of this season for us. He's been consistent every game. He's been absolutely amazing. And while Teo has higher highs, he also has lower lows. Calabria is like a consistent 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 most games. He's been awesome. And why? Because we just trusted him for a little bit and didn't sell him. We seem to lose faith in our Italian talents very fast. Example, Brian Cristante. We sold him for peanuts. I believe it was to Porto, or was it to Benfica? I can't remember. But I think it was maybe Benfica. But either way, I think it was 6 million, something like that. Now he's at Roma, he's a starter. I would love to have Cristante here. And he was ours, homegrown. Why do you sell him for peanuts? It makes no sense. Manuel Locatelli is another example. We sold him to Sassuolo for not too much money, and now all of a sudden, boom. Once he grows a little bit, because he actually got consistency in playing time, he's one of the top midfielders in the actual nation right now in Serie A, and he's looking to have a spot in the national team. I would love to have him as a part of our core here. I just don't know why we lose faith in these players so fast. Stefan El-Shaarawy, while he may not be a world beater, I think he's a really good talent, and he always plays well wherever he goes. He was awesome for Roma when he was there. For some reason, he doesn't get the love that he deserves, and because he had a couple months where he was off from Milan, that was it. We just sold him because he couldn't play with Balotelli. Sell Balotelli. He's a disaster everywhere he goes. He's good for year 1, and then he's terrible after that. Why would you sell El-Shaarawy, who was a Milan guy? He gave his all for this team and always did. So why would you sell that guy? I have no idea. It's just what we do. We're not very good to our Italians anymore, and it's kind of disheartening because we're seeing this slip further and further away from the AC Milan that is actually AC Milan. So, that being said, I get that finances are a big thing, but I really would like to see Milan make a couple targeted signings of Italian players. If I had my choice, I would be locking down Gianluca Scamacca, not just because he's Italian, but because I think he fits our system perfectly and could be a vice Ibra. If we don't get him, I would like to pick up Belotti because he is a Milan fan. He would be like Tonali. This is his team. Now, all that goes out the window if you can get a guy like Erling Haaland. If you can do that, I don't care what his nationality is. The guy's an all-star. You get him. But when there's not all-stars out there, try to go with an Italian player if their overall quality is similar. That's all I'm saying. If you have the chance to sign a world-class talent, who cares where they're from? But if you have your more kind of depth signings, your signings that have more potential or that are looking pretty good, those are the ones we should try to be looking at Italian talents again. Or else AC Milan is going to become more like Inter. So people can no longer say that they really dislike Inter unless there's a certain thing that happened. But at its core, there's only those two things. The difference between having a primarily Italian team versus having a primarily non-Italian team, and the class warfare of working class versus the bourgeoisie. That's pretty much it. So I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it. I'm disappointed with the way that Milan is going. I'm really happy with the players that we have here. I like them all individually, but I really would like to see a couple more Italian talents here. To finish my thoughts on who I would bring, I'd bring in Scamacca. I would bring back Locatelli if he wanted to come back, and if not, I would be bringing back Pobega for free next summer. And then I would be bringing in Mattia Lovato. That way you're guaranteed an Italian spine. You have a couple midfielders, you have an attacker and a striker, and you have another center back. That is what I think we need, and then the rest you can fill in with the awesome opportunities of any international player out there like we have been doing. You bring in the Florian Thauvans, you bring in some other good opportune players like we have with Benacer, and that is what I would love to see at AC Milan. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you feel the same about what we've been doing with our Italian talents, or if you could care less. Thank you guys for tuning in. Take care, and as always, Forza Milan.